Welcome to Dropping In, a podcast of storytelling and interviews with your host, Winter Olympian Mercedes Nicoll.
Thank you so much for dropping in on a Series 9. Now, this is a series where I've reached out to my past guests. They are all mostly athletes to find out if their parents wanted to be on my show. And now, in the first episode of this series with Julie Smith, I did say that I would have my parents on the show. They didn't know it until a couple days ago. So I'm excited to introduce this next guest on episode 78 of Dropping In. This guest is my father. Growing up in England, he partook in a plethora of sports from a young age, playing golf, cricket, tennis, squash, and water skiing in the summers. He ran the first water skiing school in Spain. At 18, he was a reserve on the British water skiing team for the European Championships and was on the British sailing team when he was younger. Now, he would head to Switzerland with his mother and his sister to ski in the winters. Skiing led him to a path of qualifying for the British Olympic team in 1964 in Innsbruck. Unfortunately, breaking his leg, the Winter Games were no longer a possibility. He is a father of 3 children, Tara, my half-sister, Philip, my brother, and me. Arriving in Canada, he worked for 23 years in the commercial real estate industry, specializing in development of shopping centers, office buildings, and industrial parks. He retired in 1995, and he moved our family to Whistler full-time, where he built houses. This father, brother, husband, skier, golfer, stylish dresser is someone I'm lucky enough to call my dad. Let's drop in with John Nicoll. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Mercedes. How are you?
I'm good. I feel like this is going to be really exciting for me and everyone else. Thank you for dropping in today. How are you doing?
I'm extremely well.
Okay, some people.
Apprehensive about the 10 questions.
So, it might seem weird to listeners and viewers that we're not in the same room, but we will get to that in the rapid fire. The 10 questions, which are never rapid. Are you ready to drop in, Dad?
I'm ready.
Okay. Number 1, where in the world are you today?
I'm in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico.
Number 2, what drew you to the mountains?
My family drew me to the mountains in 1946, which was my first year of skiing in Grindelwald in Switzerland.
Was that Granny and Graham?
That was that was Granny and Graham. And my grandmother was there too.
Oh, wild. Okay. I feel like I'm going to this is a history lesson for me. Okay. Number 3. Okay, I've done all these questions for the past people, so I'm just going to keep them the same even though you're my dad. So this is going to so everyone else gets to know. Number 3, when your kids were younger, what was offered to them after school?
Certainly wasn't homework.
I feel like we did homework.
I'm sure you did. I can't. Well, I mean, what was offered to you?
Yeah, we did sports. I don't know. I feel like we did every sport that we possibly could if we wanted to.
That's right. We wanted you to have access to whatever sports were out there.
Yeah.
Some which you might have enjoyed and some which you didn't enjoy.
What didn't I enjoy? Ballet.
Probably ballet. And then your brother couldn't do sports because he was sort of only had hearing in one ear, so he couldn't do hockey or soccer or rugby or those things because he didn't know where people were when he was in front of them.
Oh, because he is deaf. So my brother was born with he's deaf in his left ear, which our whole family forgets when we sit at a dinner table. So we have to strategically sit at dinner tables and we forget that he's deaf in his left ear. I didn't put that into account that he wouldn't be able to play sports like that.
Yeah, because if he heard someone shouting from behind him, he didn't know which side they were on.
Right.
Left or right.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 4. You and I read books similarly, so I don't think you have read a book in a while, because we really just dive right in and no one else can talk to us. But number 4, what was the last book that you read?
Gosh, I actually read a book a couple of weeks ago, but
Oh,
I can't.
really?
Yeah, but I can't
And you
remember the
can't.
name of it. I sat
I know,
down.
I'm the same. I'm the
I,
same.
I sat down and sat in the corner and read 400 pages in however many hours it took. Because
That's
I get totally antisocial when I read. I want to finish the book.
I know. Do you get trapped in the world of the book?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But if I put it down, I kind of lose the theme. So it's much
Yeah.
easier just to read the whole thing.
I wonder if other people do that. If listeners and viewers also do that, like, please write some comments and let us know, because
It's
that's how we both read books. It's
it's
funny.
incredibly antisocial,
Yeah, it's
but
not
but
pretty.
but it's the only way I can do it.
That's true. Okay. Number 5, what school okay. Oh, sorry. This we kind of already touched on this. Was school a big part of your kid's life, or was there time off for sports?
Of my children,
Yeah.
of you guys.
Yeah.
I think you all got involved as much as you could in sports, and that might well have from time to time meant you missed class, which I'm sure upset you dramatically, but Philip maybe not quite as much.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I was allowed to miss that much school. Like, a lot of people think that living in Whistler, a lot of parents do this. They do like a 20 centimeter rule day, but you guys never let me do that. But I I was a weird kid, I think.
Yeah, but your schooling was somewhat different. I mean, you did it in fits and spurts as you travel around the world,
Yeah.
and luckily you were able to. They had a program where you were able to focus on school for a few days and then disappear for a few weeks.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I was kind of in the skier program, and we had a quarter system. In the middle 2 quarters, we would take math independently, just one course independently, so we could travel, because I was on the development team and then the national team during high school, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, and in that, uh, yeah, I was only away for competitions and training and stuff like that, but not didn't get those 20 centimeter days. To each their own, to each family their own.
Luckily, when I was at school,
Yeah.
the headmaster insisted that I missed classes and went and did things like ski in the British Water Ski Championships and stay in Switzerland past the holidays to ski in certain races.
And you were okay with that?
I was fine with it.
Did you
Schola-
pass school?
Scholastically, it didn't
Did
help terribly well.
it may not have pan did you wait, you graduated though,
Sort
right?
of. Yeah. Yeah. I achieved my goals, which were very low.
Okay, so were mine. Graduate with art. Okay.
Yes.
Number 6, this is a I feel like I'm just throwing myself under the bus, and it is what it is. Okay, number 6. Would you be at all your kids' sporting events when they were younger?
Whenever I could, I would be there.
Yeah.
But I did travel rather a lot in business.
Mhm. But
So,
think about when you came on my snowboard trips and I didn't want you there.
oh, absolutely. I mean, that's correct. I mean, I used to drive you to these things, and you wouldn't even let me watch you compete.
And I don't know
I
why.
can remember one where I went and dug myself in under a tree in a snowbank.
I
Took
don't
me
know.
5 minutes to get out, just so I could watch you do. I think it was a giant slalom or something.
Yeah, it was
Because
a race. I think it was
because
at
you,
like Big White or Silver
yes,
Star.
it was Big White,
It was Big
and
White.
yes, and you wouldn't let me. No, you wouldn't let me watch you.
Ah.
But I had my ways of doing it.
Oh, to be a teenager and have all those new hormones. So fun, so fun. Dad, get away from me. I don't want you anywhere near me.
That's
But
right.
but then we have to talk about when I did invite you to X Games.
Yes, that
That
was
was
wonderful.
pretty cool.
That was so cool
I
and
was
so
like
wonderful,
I was really
and
happy to have you there.
it was so exciting for me to be able to watch you there. It was just wonderful.
Oh, and then there's like just a couple. You came to 3 of my 4 Olympics as well.
I did.
Yeah.
And that was, I memean, the first one was just absolutely incredible. Your mother was unable to watch. She closed her eyes.
Yeah.
I think the second one at Vancouver was quite extraordinary. That was
Yeah.
one of the probably the most extraordinary day of my life watching you compete there. It was
Don't, you're
absolutely
gonna make me cry.
It was no, you're making me cry thinking about it. It was just over the top.
No.
Unfortunately, we didn't go to Russia for various reasons, and we would have.
That
loved
was
to.
my call. I actually didn't want you to come because,
Yeah.
well, if we remember back to Russia, it was like 2013 leading up to the 2014 games, and they were talking about like bombing around the area. So I was like, I don't want to have to worry about my parents being
Yeah.
at these Olympics when I need to focus. And so I was like, please don't come.
Yeah. Well, we would have loved to have been there, but we checked out the accommodation and everything. It just didn't. It didn't come together. But anyway,
Yeah,
we
fair.
got to go to Korea.
Then I forced you to come to Korea.
And watch your amazing comeback.
Thank you. Okay. Number 7. Again, these are never rapid. How active is your lifestyle? Let the people know, Dad. You golf. You golf like 3 times a week.
No, I play a lot of golf, and I used to do a lot of skiing till last year. I did 76 years of skiing.
Yeah.
And now I kind of rather like the sun, and so I play as much golf as I can.
And just have to side note that you carry your bag the whole time, pretty much.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do.
78 years old and he's carrying his bag.
I had a lovely trip to England last year. In fact, I'm going again this year, where I played 19 rounds in 21 days. Not bad, really. It's a lot of fun.
And you carried all but 2 rounds.
All but 2. But I did play 36 holes twice and carried my bag at that time. Yeah.
I just want all the young golfers out there to know that my dad carries and you guys probably don't. So get on it.
I'm so old, I don't understand this cart thing.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends who I play with who are a third of my age, they have to go on a cart.
Should we call them all out? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we could call them all out. I could name them, but I won't do that because I think they might never play with me again.
Too funny. Okay. Number 8. How do you motivate yourselves on days that you might be lacking motivation to get outside and be active?
Gosh.
Like you do walk a lot down in San Miguel. Like what if you just were like, I don't really want to go into town and go on a walk?
Oh, I might go and lie by the pool or something.
Then you could have a swim. You just change it up a little?
Swim. I just change it up. But most days I'll go and walk 5 miles.
Yeah. That's what's cool about down there in San Miguel. It's like you walk everywhere. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, you kind of do it without noticing it.
That's true. That's
true. I mean, you go to the bank and that's, a couple of miles one way or the other.
Yeah. I love it.
Coffee somewhere.
Okay, number 9. This is a very serious question, Dad.
Yeah.
What makes you smile?
You do. I have quite a good sense of humor and tend to hang out with people that have senses of humor, or they probably wouldn't speak to me for long. So I do laugh at them, but I probably laugh at myself more than I laugh at anyone else put together.
I love it. Okay, number 10. This is the last one. Did you know about your kids' passions from a young age?
Wow. Well, I don't know what you call a young age, but it was quite obvious that you at a young age had a great passion for ice skating.
Right.
And then you had an incredible passion for not necessarily for skiing, but you had an unbelievable passion for snowboarding. And I don't know if you call that a young age, but
I don't know, what was I, like 13, 14?
Yeah.
That's pretty young.
And your brother had a great passion for skiing, which has continued.
Still does.
And still does. That's right.
Just so for the listeners and the viewers, my brother goes up, like he one year did every day on the hill.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
one of his goals. We're not stubborn at all in the Nicoll family.
No, absolutely not. It would be-
Oh my God. Thank you. That was the rapid fire. You made it through.
Wow, thank
I
you.
didn't even ask you about socks and sandals, but let's just get your gauge on
Leave
that.
that to your mother.
My mom. Okay.
Your mother. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's get into it. How so people always ask me, what did your parents do to get you to be like a four-time Olympian? Do you want to kind of share like some insight onto what you guys did?
Well, I think we gave you access to a number of sports,
Hmm.
and which was sort of what my parents did for me, because I think
Hmm.
sports are very important and very
Yeah.
good for one. In your instance, we all skied, and you decided to go in a different direction.
No,
And
don't say that. I did grow up skiing.
no, you did. Oh, absolutely. I'm not. You did. No. I'm just saying. But at a point in time, you went and tried boarding, and
Yeah.
you fell in love with it, and
Yeah.
you took that to great extremes all by yourself,
Right.
and got focused on it, and we're in the sort of embryonic stage of a sport, getting it to grow, and had nothing really to do with us. You just got focused and off you went, and left nothing in your way. And it was a wonderful thing to watch and sort of be part of in the sidelines. But
Thanks.
you were quite extraordinary, quite so
So yeah,
dedicated. Yeah.
it is funny when parents ask me, they're like, "What did your parents do?" I was like, "I don't know. I think I'm really self-motivated. I just like kind of set these goals and go for it." And wouldn't say that I had like aspirations and dreams to go to the Olympics, because we never talked about the Olympics, did we?
No,
It
no, we
was
didn't.
like
But
I remember going to my first Olympics, and then like you know how they create stories and it's like, "Oh, well your dad was supposed to go to the Olympics." And I was like, "Oh, I guess he was supposed to go to the Olympics."
yeah,
And
yeah.
then you were saying that Graham, my or grandfather who I didn't know, was supposed to go to the Olympics as well.
Yes, he was meant to go. He was the top bobsledder in the world, and he
In
was meant to go to the Olympics.
that just seems so
And
that seems so weird.
he went on a honeymoon instead. But in those days, I mean, the honeymoon was like 3 months. It wasn't kind of a week here. It was
Right, because
just
this is back in the day.
back in the day, totally outrageous.
But it's also weird that he got into how did he get into bobsledding?
Um, I don't think he was a very good skier, so he went in a different direction.
Zing. I like that. Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
I
That's
mean,
funny.
but skiing was a very new sport then too.
Right.
And it was an Englishman that a good friend of his, Bill Bracken, who created the first parallel turn, how to turn
Wow.
on skis.
We're really dating ourselves. So, okay,
I,
wait,
I
let's go back to like what kind of skis you skied on, because you skied on. I don't want to date you so hard, but
my first skis were wood,
yeah,
and they had
leather
they did
straps.
have well they had edges. They
Oh, they
did
did.
have metal edges, which were little pieces screwed in underneath,
Okay,
right?
and then the leather straps just like wrapped
Well, that
around
was
your.
that was yeah, that was called long lanyard, and that was about 9 feet long. And you wrap that round your and you actually really didn't even have to do up your boots by the time you wrap this round and back and forwards and whatever. But you could only come out sideways. You couldn't come out forwards.
Right.
You could only come out off the binding sideways. That's actually why I ended up breaking my leg badly.
Yeah. How did you break? Yeah, I don't even think we ever talked about this. How did you break
I
your
was
leg?
practicing for the downhill in Val d'Isere,
Yeah.
and I had a bad fall on the first part of the practice.
Yeah.
And then the second part of the practice, there was they didn't prepare the courses the way they prepared them now. The last
Obviously.
schuss was probably about 10 feet wide.
Okay.
And I came down and there was a compression, and I fell backwards on the compression.
Yeah.
And then my skis were, I don't know, 220 meters long, and they got caught in the wet snow on the side, and there was no
Oh.
way for the
There's no
binding.
release.
There's no release. So when I stood up, my bone came up to the top of my boot, and then it went at a right angle to my knee. And the coach came down, and he said, "Oh," he said, I think I've broken my leg." And he said, "Oh, you can't have broken your leg." And I said, "Well, I've got two knees. There's one at the top of the boot, and then there's another one coming." He said, "Yeah, you're right." Yeah. And that was it.
But then the recovery, like, or where did you end up getting surgery?
Well, that was the big problem.
Yeah.
I had, without going too great a detail, I ended up with a surgery in France where they said, "We've got to fight to save your leg, and you can't fly." And so I actually had my surgeon in England who put everyone back together. He was ready for me, but I didn't get to speak to him, so he didn't say fly. And so they did an antiquated operation in France where they took 8 inches of bone out of one leg, put it in the other, and actually they thought I was going to get a stress fracture in the other leg, but they sort of did an operation that had kind of gone out of style about 40 years before.
Old school.
And then very old school. And then I lost movement in my left leg and couldn't race again. But I had lots of fun skiing again, so that was good.
I know, but I also do want to touch on, just so like we get a gauge on like where I say stubborn, but it's also self-motivation and passion and drive. Like when you were training, I remember you saying, "Oh, I was just like hiking the slalom gates," because you liked slalom, right?
Yeah.
And so you would
We
just
we used to hike in Val d'Isère. We got 2 foot of snow one day,
Yeah.
and there was a giant slalom.
Yeah.
And our coach made us, before we raced, and this was an international race, he made us climb up from the bottom, sidestep the whole way up the race track when 2 feet of fresh snow drank it down. I mean, it was the fittest I ever was in my life. It was just amazing how fit we were.
Wow. Wow. So, do you see like similarities in my snowboard career as your ski career?
Well, I think I see similarities in the determination
Right.
that I had and you had.
Right.
Mine just ended when I was 18. Yours went on till you were
Far too old.
no,
34.
not too old. Oh, 30, no, but yours went on to 34. So I mean, you really did it.
Yeah.
And I kind of stopped at quite a young age,
I
unfortunately.
know, that's so unfortunate. I wonder where it would have taken you. I do want to talk about some of the wise words that you did give to me when I was deciding what I wanted to do. Not that I decided at any point what I was going to do, but it was just a path that I was going on. And one of them was, I think when I graduated high school or something around that era, and then also then on, you said, school will always be there, sport won't always be there. Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that that's correct, and I really believe in that.
Yeah.
You were on an upward trend in a sport, a new sport, and doing unbelievably well at it, and you could only do that for a number of years,
Hmm.
while you can go to college at any time.
Hmm.
So follow your dreams if you can, as long as you can, and school can always wait. You could always go back to school, but you
Yeah.
could not always go. You could go to school, and then you probably wouldn't get back into snowboarding.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
take something as far as you want and as long as you want, and school is always there afterwards if you want.
I love that. And I think that really, that obviously really stuck with me, because I only did end up going to school when I was injured after the 2014 Winter Olympics. I do want to get an understanding of what it is, because I'm not a parent yet.
Mm.
But what it is to watch your child compete at a high level. Like, what was that like for you?
So exhilarating, to see you out there. It was just. Um,
I
I
hear.
was the one member of the family between your mother and myself that could actually keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
Um, she was so
Did Philip
excited.
watch? Did Philip
Yes.
watch?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, no, Philip
Okay.
watched.
Okay.
Oh, no, I mean, it's just incredibly exciting and moving and emotional to be able to um, watch your child compete at that level.
Yeah.
And each time you went up in the air, our hearts are down somewhere. I don't know where they were, but your heart's beating like crazy. Um, so
Like, were you
you
nervous? Were you nervous for me? And look at me, I'm crying.
Well, I was. I don't know. I was nervous for you. I just wanted you to make it to the bottom, and without collapsing somewhere in the way or having
Yeah,
a you know
that's fair.
I always felt uh, that the Vancouver Olympics was such that it was an unfair games because the first step qualifiers got through first, and then you had to requalify to get in, and then it was a 10-hour day,
It was a long day.
and poor people that qualified at the same time as you were kind of exhausted at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yet you came out with an extraordinary result. I mean, you were in third place up to the last run, and it
right.
was only
Was
on
I?
the
I
last
didn't
run.
even know that.
Yeah, you were in third place going into the final run, and and
You
some
guys were
people,
freaking out.
others who were, not gone through, not had the qualifying, managed to beat you at that point in time. But
Right,
no,
right.
I mean, it was so exhilarating and just, I mean, it was so exciting, especially there. I mean, the whole crowd. I mean, you had 5,000 people at the bottom, just all cheering for you. It
Right,
was
and
just,
that's a funny story that I didn't know. Like, also, I didn't know I was in 3rd until then.
yeah,
For everyone listening and watching, I ended up 6th at the Vancouver
yeah,
Olympics, which was my best placing. But I remember Tora Bright coming up to the top, of the finals gate, like, tent area, and she's like, "I love it when you drop in." I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You were like, they only cheer for you."
yeah,
And I was like, "No, they
yeah,
don't. They're cheering for
yeah,
everyone." She's
yeah,
like, "No, only you." And I was like, "Oh." Like, I think, like, at that time, I was so focused on what I was doing, and I was also tired, and I had pancreatitis coming on at
yeah,
the same time. Like, all these things were happening that I wasn't aware. And so, to hear that from your perspective, we've never really debriefed on any Olympics. So,
no, no,
I don't know why we haven't. Probably because I would start crying like I am right
yeah, yeah,
But that was a really long day. That was the first time that they put qualifiers, semi-qualifiers,
yeah,
and finals in
yeah,
one day.
yeah,
They had never done that before at an
no,
event. And
no,
so honestly, it went from like sun up to nighttime,
yeah.
and it was the most beautiful day in Vancouver. And then it was like quite a cold night, and especially for everyone in the stands.
Now, you heard the people cheering. I mean, I can remember when I competed and I'd get to the bottom, they said everyone was cheering for you. I didn't notice it. I was so focused on what I was doing. I
Yeah,
just
no.
cut out everything.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear them.
Yeah,
When I'm in the half
yeah,
pipe and I know I'm doing it right, I
yeah,
didn't hear them.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then at the bottom, it was kind of like a weird amphitheater where like the cheering went up, so
Yes.
I could literally have a whispering conversation with someone at the bottom of the half
Yeah,
pipe and
yeah,
not know that everyone's like
yeah,
losing it.
yeah. Well, that was
Yeah.
probably the most exciting day of my life.
Okay, then I have to ask you about Sochi. You didn't know that I had crashed in practice. And I
Yeah.
have spoken to friends about it, and they're like, "We knew that wasn't you competing when we were watching on TV." Did you know
Yes.
that?
I didn't know you'd crashed
Yeah,
that badly,
yeah,
and didn't realize that, what had happened.
right.
And so when you came down the first time after your second hit, I said, "There's something wrong."
Oh,
I knew there was something wrong.
because I wasn't getting
And
the
then, of course,
amplitude.
you had another fall. I think you fell on that run too,
Well,
or maybe you
the
fell on the
second run I fell
second
again.
run. Yeah, the first run. And I said, "No, there's something wrong. She's just, because you weren't getting your amplitude or
Yeah,
whatever. It was just
yeah.
something obviously not right."
No, I wasn't. I wasn't going as big
But
as I
but
could
but
have,
they
for sure.
didn't tell us about that. They didn't say at that point in time that
Yeah,
you had a fall.
yeah, and then what this is a hard question to ask your parents, but what when you saw my actual the second crash where I
Yes.
was, like, kinda dragging down the half pipe and I couldn't get up by myself, what was going on in your head?
Well, kinda wanted to see you move.
Yeah,
Um, and I can't remember if then they said that you'd had a crash in practice.
okay,
I can't anyway, we we were sort of glad to see that you hadn't broken anything, but
right,
obviously we hadn't realized, um,
the
how
severity.
how you'd hit your head. I mean, that's something we
Well, I didn't even know that.
well, no, and I mean, we didn't know that even when you came back.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Crazy. If you had any advice for parents that would like to give a good life to their kids like you did for me and everyone in our family, what would you say?
Gosh, that's a tough one. Um,
You did talk about
I would
opportunities
yeah,
before.
that was the word I was going to use. I mean, I
Mhm.
just think that, watch your children, and if they have um, they show that they want to do something, try and do everything you can to let them do that and
Mhm.
um, follow their dreams, because uh, it does if it's work or sport. Sport brings lots of things to people,
Mhm.
and opens up all sorts of different doors to opportunity, which weren't there when I was doing sport
Yeah,
to many degrees. I mean, sport was something that cost a lot of money, but you could never get any money out of it.
right.
Um, Whereas nowadays, if you're good at a sport and you get sponsors, you can afford to hang in there and be in that sport for a period of time, and then um, give back to that sport the way that you give back to it at the moment.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
I think that maybe I'm biased, but I think that you are a great um, image for people to see what can happen in sport and continue on it, and give back.
Thank you. We didn't actually even touch on funding or anything like that, because I had Dylan Moskovich's mom, and he's a figure skater, talk about how expensive it was, and they had multiple kids in their family, and Dylan became a Olympic medalist, and she was just talking that, like, a year it was, like, $1,000,000. And I appreciate your kind words, Dad, I really do. But we never even talked about funding, and you were always so
Well,
kind. You were always so kind and always offered funding to help me if I needed a coach or something, and I was so obstinate that I
you were,
wanted to do it all by myself.
well, and you did, and it's quite extraordinary, because you came to me when you were 18, or I think it was 18, might have even been 16, and
16, yeah, when I got my first big check.
yeah, and you gave me some money, and you said, "This." I said, "What's that for?" And you said, "I want to stay in this sport, and I'm going to do it myself." And you were terribly obstinate about it. You wouldn't take a penny from us from there on out. You looked after yourself. You ran it as a business, and I have no idea how you kept your head above water, but I have so much respect for you and the way you went about it in an obstinate manner. I agree.
Yeah.
And it was just extraordinary to watch on the sidelines. You have no idea how proud I am of you and your accomplishments.
I'm crying over here for those that are just listening. I am fine. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I think it wasn't until the 2014 Olympics that's when I decided I had to ask for help.
Yeah, well,
And
but
not financially by any means. I was still
yeah,
like obstinate about that, but like learning to be okay with asking for help is so important. So important. So
it
thanks,
is.
Papa.
You're very, very welcome, and thank you for being gentle with me.
I'm just gonna have to have you back on. Thank you so much for dropping in with us today. I mean, if I was to take anything away from our conversation, is that just having the opportunity to do all the sports that I was able to do when I was little, because I did want to try everything, and I don't know why I wanted to try everything, but I did. I've tried swimming, I tried running. Everyone knows I'm not a good runner. You just find out what you like, what you don't like. But again, that opportunity, and there are so many great programs like Kids Sport throughout Canada that allow access to programming nowadays. So I do ask you, if you're a mother or a father or a kid listening, don't worry. It's you can find grants to try sports if that's something that you're really interested in. So as I have tears rolling down my cheeks, thanks, Papa. I love you.
Love you too.
And thank you for dropping in today. Thanks so much for dropping in today. You can find everything you want to know about Dropping In with Mercedes at droppinginwithmercedes.com. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks DJ Kenosis for the music and my mom for the intro voice.